I call the Selectboard of Sheffield's meeting for June 2nd to order, and I will start with our first item of business, which is the approval of meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from April 22nd, May 1st, and May 6th, 2 sets.
And I will second that because I believe that Patrick will abstain from this.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Next, we have a discussion of an action regarding land appraisal for the County Road Bridge. And for this, we'll probably initially turn to Rhonda for some follow-up.
So we have to have a certified Massachusetts land real estate appraiser to take a look at the easements for the work on the County Road Bridge, the one that's restricted going up County Road. So we've reached out to Crowley and Associates, who we've used in the past. There's 4 abutters that they have to appraise, and their fee would be $8,000.
Does anyone have any questions about the proposal that's in front of us?
The delivery would be 7 to 8 weeks of danger.
Do we know where that sits in the scheme of things compared to other appraisers, or not really?
No, but appraisers, I think, are hard to come by. When we were looking before, I think we had trouble engaging with one. So that's why we reached out to the one we've used before, and they've done great work for us. So.
There isn't going to be too much that needs to be done as far as have read, as far as taking a property or anything. It's pretty minor issues.
Yes.
So, I suppose you need a motion?
I suppose I do.
Okay. Well, I will make a motion, and what was the name of the entity?
Crowley and Associates.
Crowley and Associates. I'll make a motion that we ask Crowley and Associates to do the appraisal for the County Road Bridge.
Do we need to authorize you to be able to sign that, or is
Sure.
that?
And authorize Rhonda to sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, motion passes. Third on here is a long reading list of the fiscal year 2026 appointments and announcements. I will read through this list. We have a number of vacancies, and people can go online and find out more about them, and also send Rhonda a note if they're interested in sitting in any of these positions. It's a wonderful way of giving back to the community and actually sometimes learning about an area of interest as well. We have 4 vacancies in the Agricultural Commission, 1 vacancy for Animal Control Officer, 1 vacancy for Animal Inspector, 2 vacancies for the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission. My name is in for one of those, but we still have 1 position outstanding. 2 vacancies for the Board of Assessors, with Tammy Blackwell's name in for a possibility for one of those positions. 1 vacancy of 1 year as the BRPC delegate, and we have Sari Hoy, who has put her name in for that. 1 vacancy for 1 year for the BRPC delegate alternate. 2 vacancies for the Board of Health, and Pat Levine and Eileen Clark have put their names in for that. 1 vacancy on the Board of Registrars, and Eileen Clark has put her name in for that. 1 vacancy for 1 year on the Building Inspector. Paul Green's name is in for that. 1 vacancy on the Cemetery Commission. Tammy Blackwell has submitted a statement of interest. 7 vacancies on the Commission on Disabilities. 1 vacancy on the Conservation Commission. 2 vacancies on the Conservation Commission alternates. Cheryl Blackburn has submitted her name for one of those positions. 2 vacancies of 1 year for the Constable. James McGarry has given us his name for that as well. 3 vacancies on the Council on Aging. Elsie Gilligan, Jillian Hettinger, and Karen Chamberlain have put their names in for that. 6 vacancies on the Cultural Council, with Frances Roth putting her name into the mix. 1 vacancy of 1 year on the Electrical Inspector, with Michael Lining having his name there. 1 vacancy 1 year for Fire Chief. one vacancy for 1 year on the gas and piping inspector with Robert Krupski having submitted his name, one vacancy 1 year alternate on the gas and piping inspector. Robert Gennari has put his name in for that. 3 vacancies on the historical commission with Kathy Orlando putting her name forward for one of the positions. 2 vacancies on the housing commission, 1 vacancy of 1 year as the planning board alternate member, 1 vacancy 1 year for plumbing inspector with Robert Krupski putting his name in, and 1 vacancy 1 year plumbing inspector assistant with Robert Gennari putting his name in. Police officer full-time, 1 vacancy. Michael Norse has put his name in for that position. 1 vacancy 1 year for the recycling coordinator. 1 vacancy for 1 year for the sanitation inspector with Scott Smith putting his name in for that. 1 vacancy for 1 year on town council with Lauren Goldberg of KP Law putting her name forward. 1 vacancy for 1 year for a veterans agent with Thomas Beasley putting his name forward. 2 vacancies on the zoning board of appeals, and 2 vacancies of 1 year on the ZBA alternates with Pat Levine giving us her name for one of those positions. Any comments or thoughts?
No, not at this point.
None for me.
All right, and then we can move on to our next point of business, which is discussion and action regarding the Berkshire Regional Transit Authority representative. The town is given a Regional Transit Authority Advisory Board position to fill, and Nadine Hauer, when she was in my position, was taking that role, but we currently have that position open. I don't know if anyone on the committee is interested in taking this on.
I told Rhonda I was thinking about it, so.
Do you want to continue to think about it?
I will muster, at least for today, yeah.
Can we throw your hat in the ring
Yeah,
that you're
yes,
thinking
yeah.
about it officially, and
Yeah.
then we can actually make an appointment at another time if you decide so?
Yes.
That would be great. Next up, we have a review of bridge inspection reports, which all of us have reviewed copies of, but that I leave the interpretation of to our beloved town administrator, because it's quite complex to work your way through these.
So the first one is the county road restricted bridge. We just talked about getting land appraisal, so we know that Mass DOT is in the process of replacing that bridge. The next bridge is on Sheffield Egremont Road. It's in fairly good shape. It's got a rating of a 6 across the board in all the categories. There is one broken brace that we're gonna have the highway go down and take a look and see if they can at least repair the one broken brace. The next one is a second bridge on County Road, and that has some, that's a 7 across the board. So that's one of the newer bridges that we've just replaced. And it's got some wooden rails that need to be looked at and possibly replaced, so the highway will take a look at that one. The other one on County Road also has a 7, and it just notes a couple things on there, that brush growing into the channel and those type of things, that it's nothing that we can really take care of at this point, so we'll just keep our eye on that one. And those inspections were done in December. The second group was also done in December. So they actually gave us an inspection report on the East Road Bridge that's no longer there anymore. I don't quite understand why, but I don't believe we have any plans to open that one again. Here's another one on County Road, which has an 8 across the board. Some of the surfaces and things are as high as a 9, but the 8 is the average across. And the last one is Salisbury Road, and that has a 6. Dave's gonna take a look and just see if there's anything over there that they can take a look at and take care of, like some of the beaver debris maybe blocking the culvert. So they'll take a look at that and see what they can do on that one.
And just as a statement, we've been going through these bridge reports as part of the select board meeting since we had the closing, because we just felt like it's important for everyone to know that we receive these reports and that we do our best to interpret them and respond to them.
Right.
Next up on the agenda is a discussion and action regarding the concrete testing in the town garage building. As everyone might know, we're moving forward on developing the new town garage in the space that we purchased last year. And one of the questions that's come before us is whether or not the concrete is sort of at a level that will be appropriate and not need any amendment in order for us to use it for the building. And so we have a proposal in front of us for $4,250 to do a series of core samples that would allow them to sort of test the exam or test the slab for strength.
I'll make a motion that we approve Allied Testing Laboratories Incorporated to do the procedure.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just so everyone knows, we weren't sure initially if this amount was an amount that we thought was appropriate, and we decided to look outside of the people that we're using, and it turned out that it's really in keeping with what the cost of something like this would be. Item number 7 on the agenda is a discussion and action regarding a one-day alcohol permit. Michelle Dawson Harvey is looking to have a event, I believe it's a graduation party, on the 28th of June at Town Park. She has the appropriate, I assume she, but Michelle, I suppose, could also be a Frenchman or something too, has all of the appropriate liability insurance attached.
She does.
I'll make a motion that we approve the one-day alcohol permit for Michelle Dawson Harvey for Town Park on June 28th.
All in favor?
Aye.
You know, one of the things to always remind of people whenever we see one of these is that we need a little bit of time in advance of events. So if you are planning on doing an event in a public space, it's pretty useful to get this to us in time for us to get it through
It
for an
is.
approval. We don't really love coming in on a Saturday to issue these, although we've done it. Item number 8 is discussion and action regarding the purchase of a cruiser from the town of Beckett. The fire department has been looking for a cruiser, and the town of Beckett has one listed for sale for $1,000. They're getting a new one, and I believe that we did a little bit of investigation into the condition of this, and maybe Rhonda can weigh in a little bit on this, if that makes
Sure,
sense.
so Chief Ulrich had Watson's take a look at the car, and he said the car seems solid. He's suggesting that the brakes be redone and that the car needs tire.
I believe we had a cruiser also that will be going out of commission or for bids, but it was in worse shape than the one they can get out of Beckett for $1,000. So I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the Beckett cruiser for $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sold for $1,000. This is the right terminology for that. Item number 9 is discussion and possible action regarding the sale of the cannabis establishment, Sun Drops. Rhonda, I think you just heard from them recently about this, right? And
I did last week. Their attorney reached out to me to talk about the transfer of the business to a different company. Sundrops is moving to New York, and they're not going to operate in Massachusetts at all anymore. They're taking their name with them to New York, but everything here is being transferred over to the new company.
And this was the establishment at the old Monterey Masonry
Yes.
building?
Yes.
And what would you need?
So what they have a special permit to operate because they came in after zoning. I've asked our legal counsel to take a look at the special permit. I don't believe that I saw anything in there that would prohibit them from doing what they want to do. And of course, their HCA, which needs to be redone because they're one of the companies that didn't do a new host community agreement, allows them to transfer the business with permission of the Board of Selectmen.
And does the business stay the same, doing the same types of
I believe so.
manufacturing that what has been going on? No change or?
Right. I will make a share of that with town council and their council. So I would ask you to decide whether you approve the change of ownership, but make it pending town council's review of the notice of decision.
Because there's also a statement here that it's proposed as an asset sale of the license versus an equity sale. And I don't know if that impacts that transfer at all. I'm sure legal can weigh in on that as well.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it pending the type of manufacturing and legal's response.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, this is a pretty quick-moving meeting. We're on item 10, action regarding signing new electric aggregation contract. As people may know, we purchase some energy, or the towns work together to purchase energy through a number of services, and there's a Berkshire County Municipal Aggregation Program that helps determine the prices of these sales. And I think what would make sense here is that this has to happen in a very timely way. A decision is made and signed almost momentarily, and so what we would probably want to do is make a motion that Rhonda could be our signator and our approver for this action, which I believe is taking place
Tomorrow.
at 2:30.
12:30, isn't it?
Oh, and being signed by 2:30.
Right,
That's the quickest signing.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's unimaginable.
The suppliers only hold the price for so long.
Right. And what
the
is
market
the
changes.
price that they're,
I don't have it yet.
yeah, I kind of noticed that they didn't have it in there.
No, they won't have it until the morning.
Okay.
But it's not, you're not obligating people to a set price. There are choices. They can stay with National Grid, they can go with the aggregation program, and they can go out on their own. So this is just a service to offer if people want to partake.
It's really
in
one
it.
of the prices.
And generally, it's to get a better price for,
It is.
the
You know, by
residents
all
of
the
town.
towns
right.
combining and joining together, that we normally do get a little bit of a better.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize Rhonda to sign the contract for the aggregate, and that is Colonial Power, is the aggregate.
Second.
Are you ever going to give him a chance to make the motion?
Anytime he,
You're so quick and
Jump right
efficient.
in.
All in favor, or any discussion? I assume there's not further discussion. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And next up, Kathy, are you presenting any of this to us?
I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
We have some discussion and action regarding the conservation restriction on the trustees of reservation
She
property.
may want to present it just a little bit about it.
Yeah, it'd be great if you would.
Yeah, so this is the conservation restriction I've come in a few times about. We finally have the final document from the state. Massachusetts is unique in that the state has to sign it, as well as the town, as well as the landowner and the organization. And basically, what a conservation restriction does is it keeps the land in the owner's hands, but there's a permanent restriction that runs with that property through all future owners. I mean, in this case, it's the trustees' reservation, so it's not likely it'll change hands, but it's just to make sure. And it's the state is requiring this conservation restriction because there is funding that was coming into a larger project protecting 1,000 acres that includes Cooper Hill Farm and the other properties right along there. So that's why we had to get it through quickly, because that's what the state required. So they got us back that document on Friday. I sent it to Rhonda. What we just need to do is, we figured if you have any questions, you can let me know. It would be great if we could get that signed this week, because we have to then we email those signatures to the state, so the state sees we have them. That triggers them being able to do their signature process, which usually takes a week or two, and it has to be recorded by before the end of June. So, yeah, and it's a pretty standard conservation restriction, and it will actually have public access, so people can, and there'll be a little parking area, which you guys had approved at the last meeting. So people can go in there, and there'll be a small trail that goes in, and people are able to hunt there, and, with permission, since that's what, Sheffield requires.
And what would be the change to the tax rate of that parcel of land?
It's owned by the trustees of the reservation, so it will have no impact whatsoever. Yeah, it's just, we have to do the conservation restriction, even though it's held by a conservation group, because the state is requiring it, because there are state funds going into the project. Yeah.
So that's that they just want an outside overview, is that the primary reason
Yeah,
for that?
yeah, so it's belt and suspenders. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make a comment. People normally think the government works really slowly, and it sounds like a lot of things have happened in 2 weeks, so that's kind of exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the conservation restriction?
I'll make a motion to.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Next up, do we have any board items that anyone would like to share?
No, other than, I thought we had a good Memorial Day parade, and
Yes,
it was nice to see everybody come out and honor our vets, so,
and the band did a great job.
and the band did do a great job. I agree.
And the school board negotiations are continuing to move forward.
They are still moving forward at this point, correct?
I don't know that we have much else to, I don't have anything forward to share.
Just Patrick.
No?
Okay. No, I'm good.
Great. I guess with that said, is there any public comments? Would anyone like to share?
George O'Wayne, Foley Road. The property next to the church in Ashley Falls is being developed. And I think it was Tim Martin who told us that if we didn't object, if the church members didn't object to the building, et cetera, he would release the property that he misappropriated from the church. He has not done that. So we feel that he should not get any more permits to continue what he's doing, or get a CO, or get a victualler's license, or a liquor license until he's got the property lines squared away. It's been an ongoing problem with him. He said he would do it. The lawyer wrote up the agreement. He refused to sign it until he's holding this little piece of property hostage, okay? And I think it's, to operate the thing, he needs a CO, he needs a victualler's license, and I think it's basically your responsibility to instruct the people that you appoint to the Board of Health or hire as a building inspector or whatever, to tell them to deny the permits until he's got the property line squared away.
I'm not sure that actually comes under our purview.
You
as
hired
long
the
as they
building inspector.
do hire the
You appointed-
building inspector,
you
but
appointed
as
the
long
Board of Health.
as the person meets the requirements that the health or building inspector need, I don't believe a entity having an issue with another entity has anything bearing on the select board.
Well,
That would be a personal conflict between the Methodist Church and Tim Martin. That property dispute really has nothing to do with the building inspector or the Board of Health.
Thank you, George.
just making our position known.
I don't have anything to, except for to just get a little bit more information on the
Sorry, can you introduce
Oh.
yourself? Sorry.
Sari Hoy, 60 Main. I was just wondering about the electric aggregation prices, not prices, but does that happen every year? Because I feel like we just did that, so.
I think this time they're looking to go for that'll be another decision, whether it'll be a 3 or a 5-year contract, I believe, tomorrow.
So what, I think when Renee was still on the board, there was, so that was a year ago, that we just signed a new contract, didn't we?
I'd have to look back, Sarah, at all the dates and when we signed them, but they're usually multi-year.
They usually,
Multi-year?
yeah, that's what I thought, so I was just
I
curious.
believe this one was only 2 years ago, correct?
Well, it's still,
Right.
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 Oh, yeah, so
This
it's
won't-
gonna take a while to,
Technically, this next contract will be
Longer, I
longer
hope. Okay.
at the end of the current one.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comment? I know we're going to go into executive session after this, so would anyone like to make a motion to close this portion of the meeting and move to executive session?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And I think we might, do we need to do this as a voice vote?
You do, but you don't want to adjourn, you want to go into executive session. And not
I'm
return to
sorry.
open.
So
That's
I
my
make a motion that we go into executive session and not to return to open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone.